We're here today for probably what is going to be the funnest webinar that I've done in this series. And I think this is something like, I don't know, the excuse me, 8th or 9th or 10th in this series. We do one just about every other month. Our one from last month got delayed just a little bit to the beginning of this month, but that's okay. Just a couple of words of warning for you. Number one, I'm going to talk about some things today that are going to probably make you mad. I'm going to challenge some things that you probably hold as sacred cows in your marketing, and I'm going to, well, just like I said, I'm probably going to make you mad, and I'm okay with that. If you're okay with that, have an open mind, see what you think. Maybe we can debate it out at the end of the call a little bit if you want to. Number two, we're going to move super, super fast. So I'm going to recommend that you take all the other stuff away from your desk, put your email away, just take your smartphone and stick it in a drawer or something, get a piece of paper out, make some notes. I'm going to cover a ton of territory. I'm going to talk really, really fast, and, you know, that's just the way that I operate, so hopefully that works out for everybody. So with that being said, let's get going. We don't have a lot of mistakes that we're going to be working through today. Internet marketing mistakes, sales and sales process mistakes, and advertising mistakes, and these all fall under the major header of marketing. But we're going to have the first 5 mistakes are going to be internet marketing mistakes, and then we're going to have a few each from sales and sales process and advertising mistakes. So with that just extremely brief interview, let's jump in with both heels, and let's start with mistake number 1. This is an internet marketing mistake, and it's called style over substance. Now, what I'm talking about is companies that have websites that look fantastic but don't have a lot of substance. Here's what you think. You think that my website needs to be a perfect 10, it needs to look beautiful, and that people will equate high-end website with high-end remodeling project, whether that's kitchens and baths or siding, roofing, windows. And clearly, naturally, obviously, you want to have a nice-looking website, but I've seen so many companies that are so enamored with the way that their website looks that, number one, they don't realize that what it says stinks, and number two, that it even matters what they say. And I'm going to show you definitively that it makes a huge difference. So here's the truth. Your website had better be at least a 7 or an 8. Now, I'm going on this 10 scale, right? Perfect 10. You remember Bo Derek, the movie, and she's running on the beach with the cornrows and all that? That's the perfect 10. If you have a 10 website, that's fantastic. That's good. I'm not suggesting don't have a nice-looking website. You've got to have at least a 7 or 8 to even compete, or people are going to laugh you out of the water, so to speak. People want to know, though, that you're more than just high-end. It's hard to say, well, what does it mean if they're high-end? You need to communicate your unique advantages with power, precision, and passion. And I'm talking specifically in this case about internet marketing and specifically about your website. This is what we call identity in the realm of monopolize your marketplace. An identity is communicating with power, precision, and passion instantly and definitively about your company, who you are, what you do, what makes you different and better. Let me show you a couple examples. Here's a website that I found that has, you've seen this sometimes, this big, huge picture on the background. This is what a lot of companies like to do to show that, hey, look, we're super high-end. We've got this fantastic, design eye, and we're pretty and beautiful and all of these kinds of things. But let's take a look at this. We've got the big, beautiful picture, and by the way, that picture on the background rotates on the actual website. It becomes a kitchen, and then it becomes a something else. But here's what the website looks like. Curb appeal, enjoy the satisfaction of excellence. So we've got sort of this kingly, royal type declaration of awesomeness, enjoy the satisfaction of excellence. But, let's read what it says. Welcome to Curb Appeal Renovations. Now, I've just blown this up on the screen. It's not actually that big on the real website. What I've done is I've just taken what is on there and I've made it a little bit bigger. Curb Appeal Renovations is a design, build, remodeling company that has been creating beautiful spaces in the areas of Southlake, Colleyville, Keller, Trophy Club, Grapevine, Flower Mound, Roanoke, North Richland Hills, Bedford, Hearst, Euless, and Forth. By the way, we are stumbling face first into another marketing mistake that I'm going to get to a little bit later with this big knotted jumble of cities that they've crammed in here. Totally reads unnaturally. But read this. Our award-winning design build services include kitchens, bath, home remodel, additions, universal design, and rebuilding. Our design-build process is designed to give you confidence that your home will be well-designed, well-constructed, and well taken care of from conception through many years after completion. It's a husband and wife-owned company that personally oversee the operations. And here's what I'm trying to communicate to you is that this is not communicating anything that people actually care about knowing. This is a major marketing mistake. It's a beautiful-looking site. Let me show it to you again. But it doesn't do anything to actually communicate why somebody wanted to do business with you. Let me give you another example right here. Again, huge, beautiful picture. You look at that and it's stunning and you say, wow, this company must do awesome work. And that's good. It's a nice start. But what does it say? It doesn't say anything. You have to go hunt around like an Easter egg hunt to find stuff. We rewrote this website for this company to where it still has the big picture, but now you can look here at the top, hide the text if you want to just see the big, huge picture. In fact, what happens is when this website now comes on the screen, it comes on really big picture, and it pauses for about 4 seconds, and then the text pops up, and you have an option. If you want to hide the text, you can still see the beautiful website, but now we also, in addition to having a beautiful picture and this sort of informal communication that, hey, look how beautiful we are, we also have this identity in the website. Let's take a look at what it says. Our unique under one roof design build process makes remodeling an efficient, easy, and pleasant experience. When the design and construction are both handled by one firm, all of the processes, waste, pricing ambiguity, communication gaps, finger pointing, construction delays, cost overruns, and unpleasant surprises just go away. And then there's text that people can read if they want to that explains that in more detail. If they don't want to, at least they've understood the general concept. We've also got some things that are considered conversionability that are over on the right-hand side in terms of getting a quote, customer reviews, some portfolios, and so forth. We'll talk about that stuff a little bit later. Here's another website that looks nice. I talked to this particular client. They hired us to do some work for them, and they said, look, we really like the way that our website looks. We spent a lot of money making this website look just a specific way so that it's beautiful. And I looked at it, and I said, you're right, it's a nice-looking website. But the problem is it doesn't communicate anything. It says, since 1977, Freelight has provided sales, professional installation, and service of quality, reasonably priced windows, doors, and skylights. So again, we've got sort of a nice-looking website that doesn't really communicate a lot. So here's what we did. We took this website, and we kept it looking the same, but we added this concept, what we call identity, communicating who you are, how you're different, why you're better, and why people should do business with you, what they can expect when doing business with you, and here's what it looks like. So let's go back and forth. There's the after. There's the before. It's the same picture. Notice it looks about the same, but now we've got some additional information, identity, that communicates what we really want people to know about us. Okay? Now let's take a little bit closer look at the identity. Okay, so this is what it now says. Introducing the easy, no hassle, no pressure way to buy windows and skylights in Phoenix. We find out what you want, make recommendations, then step back and let you decide. And then it's got some information about their ease of doing business process. If you look on the right-hand side, what we include, thorough needs analysis, specific recommendations, short demonstration of product, answers to your questions, a no-hassle quote. What we leave out, long, drawn-out presentations, boring technical talk, crazy buy-now discounts, trial closes and hard closes, confusing pricing games. And this is what we call the beginning of the identity, okay? Does that make sense? Here's a couple examples of other websites that have identity baked into them so that when you look at the website, it looks nice. It has the professional look and feel. Up here at the top, it has what we call a slider so that it shows multiple sales points, beautiful pictures in a large format of what your company can do. But it also communicates the last roof you'll ever buy, period. Invest in a roof that'll last literally forever, looks stunning, is weather and fireproof, and will lower your energy bills. Getting a detailed quote is fast and easy. So again, we've got the identity baked into the website instead of just only a pretty website. One more example, then we'll move on. This is a company called Good Guy Construction, and this works just as well for window and siding guys and roofing guys as it does for kitchen and bath. It doesn't matter about that. Again, you'll notice here at the top we've got this slider area. It's a beautiful website, but we're communicating with them, all inclusive. Our bids include everything. No gotchas after we get started. Good Guys Construction isn't just a name. It's who we are. It's how we think, what we do, and an ironclad promise that you'll be treated right. No games, no gimmicks, no gotchas. We refuse to compromise quality or ethics to land a job or pad our profits. We offer fair, honest prices on premium caliber interior and exterior remodeling. Again, here's the point. Looks good, has that look and feel, but the marketing mistake is if you only rely on that and you don't take time to carefully, passionately, powerfully, precisely communicate who you are, what you do, then you've got no identity and your marketing is going to fall short of what it should be doing. Okay? Let's go to mistake number 2. It's what I call pay-per-click confusion. Here's what you think. You think that you run a pay-per-click campaign and it doesn't work. I've talked to an infinity contractors that said, yeah, we did pay-per-click and it doesn't work. You assume that pay-per-click sucks or that nobody clicks the ads. Well, first of all, we know that people click the ads because you wouldn't be paying for them if they weren't. But does it actually work? Is it worth the investment? Well, here's the truth. The truth is that the people clicked on the ads, like I said, that's why you paid the money. But the reason it didn't work is because your website did nothing to make them want to buy from you. So they clicked through, they found a website that wasn't what it should be. It didn't have the elements that make a website convert, and therefore they didn't do anything. Your website lacks what we call conversionability tools. I'll show you those briefly here in just a minute. Instead, here's what a lot of websites have. What are I call these engagement tools. Let me show you an example. Here's a website from All Pro Windows that has a lot of engagement tools. Now, this is a company that is doing poorly in getting conversion on their website. They're doing fantastic in getting SEO, getting people to come to their website, but they actually have had a major drop-off in conversion since they launched this website. This is not a website we did. This is a website done by another company because they're relying heavily on the engagement tools. Also, there's some keyword stuffing elements that we'll talk about as a problem in a little bit later. But let's take a look at what it says. When you come to this website, the first things that you notice are get a price. On the right-hand side, download our free brochure. And then we see get a price again, view our special offers, sign up for our newsletter, and then there's a financing offer. This is the first things that people see. To me, this is very similar to walking into a bar, going up to a pretty lady and saying, hey, how you doing? My apartment's right around the corner. Would you like to go check it out? That's just dumb. It doesn't make any sense at all. Why would you ask people if they want a price very first thing? Why would you ask people if they want to sign up for your newsletter very first thing? They came to your website with a specific question in mind, which is, why should I hire this contractor over the others? And if you don't facilitate them gathering and getting that information, then you're going to have what's called a really high bounce rate. Bounce rate means people come to the website, they don't like what they see, they hit the back button, and they keep looking for somebody else that will answer those questions. This website here does terrible at converting. Now let's talk about how you do convert. Conversionability is the process of increasing stickiness to your website so people will read it, absorb it, believe it, and then finally, of course, take action on it. Okay? So here's the key elements of conversionability. Now, by nature of this webinar, we're not going to go into detail on any of this stuff. I'm going to just kind of throw it out there at you and let it stir your brain up a little bit. Professionalism, identity. We just talked about professionalism. It's got to look good. We already talked about that. We also talked about identity, but also you've got to include elements of social proof, evidence, and case building so that when people come, just like in court you build a case and provide evidence and witnesses, you've got to do that on your website so that when people come, they don't just hear claims, they see proof that your claims are true. Let's take a look. Here's a website by Renewal by Anderson in Dallas. I'm in the Dallas area, in case you didn't know that. And so I just pulled this from the local Google search here. And here's what you see. Renewal by Anderson. Again, they've got these engagement tools. Request an appointment. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't ask people to set an appointment, but when it's the major thing, request an appointment, and then over here on the right-hand side, showroom hours. At the top, call us today. Look at the middle and at the top. Refer a friend. They don't even know who you are, and you're asking them if they want to refer a friend when they just barely got there. Free installation. This is a good example of too many engagement tools too soon in the process, and then no conversionability tools. There's no proof that these guys are any good. They don't make any references available. They don't make any reviews available. They don't have anything available that helps me understand that these guys do what they say they'll do. Let's take a look at a revised example. Now, this is the before, okay, and this is the after. So first of all, it looks nicer, so professionalism. Number two, identity, communicating something. So we've got the slider at the top, maintenance free. Our super strong FiberX windows never warp, never peel, and never need painting. Below that, in the static area that doesn't change. Most window companies claim they've got the best windows. We unapologetically claim to offer the world's only perfect window. We've taken the best parts from all the top windows, eliminated everything that isn't 1,000% optimal, and engineered the only window that promises and delivers perfection. Now, this is power, precision, and passion in communication. This is letting people know you should buy our window. We're different, we're better, and we're going to prove it. If you look at the right-hand side, now let's get into some of the conversionability elements. It says, dare to compare. Click below to see how our windows are better than others. And then it's got the categories, more efficient, longer lasting, better looking, and so forth, where people can go dial in immediately and get additional information if they want it. If they don't want it, look at the top. Read our customer reviews. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down on this website, but it's a PowerPoint, so instead of scrolling, I'm just going to put a slide that shows what's at the bottom. Look on the right-hand side, 107 customer reviews. Now I've got social proof. Below that, real customer references. If somebody clicks that, they can see references on the spot of existing customers that you've done business with. Below that, I've got contractor standards, things that people should look for when hiring a contractor and showing how we stack up against those standards. This is what's called social proof. This is what's called all of these kinds of things, okay? So building a case, evidence, social proof, identity, professionalism, this is what makes people buy. And so when you run a pay-per-click campaign, which is where we started this conversation, make absolutely sure that when people get to your website, they find something worth clicking on and reading and responding to. Let's move to the next mistake. I told you we were going to move fast. Google-centric focus. Here's what you think. To rank well in Google, you have to stuff a ton of keywords in the home page of your website. You also think that getting ranked on the first page of Google is the end-all, be-all. Now, obviously, you want to be ranked on the first page of Google, but I'm here to tell you, it's easy to get ranked on the first page of Google and have a website that's a complete disaster that does you no good whatsoever. Here's the truth. Like I said, obviously you want to be first page ranked. If you stuff keywords into your homepage, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean here in just a second, it chases prospects away in droves. Being on the first page is not the most important thing. Being on the first page and having a website that converts is the most important thing. There are two audiences, and you've got to understand this. Google is one audience, it's an important one, and human freaking beings are the other audience. And if you don't communicate effectively with humans, but you do communicate effectively with Google, you're freaking dead meat. It's not going to work. You're not going to get leads, and you're going to be pissed wondering what happened because you spent all this time, all this effort, all this money, trusted all these experts, and nothing's happening, and it's because you're talking to Google and you're not talking to humans. You have to cater to both. Here's a good example. This is a siding website here in Dallas. I live in a town called Southlake. Look at this website. Look how many times it says Southlake as we get into the text. Pro Vinyl Siding Installers, Southlake, Texas. Vinyl Siding in Southlake, Texas. Pro Vinyl Siding Installers is a great source if you're thinking about adding vinyl siding to your home or business in the Southlake, Texas area. Our Southlake, Texas business has a distinct blah, blah, blah. Go to the next section. Customers come first in Southlake, Texas. Whenever customers in Southlake, Texas, look over to the right-hand side. Cities near Southlake. All of this is trying to tell Google, hey, if somebody's in Southlake and they search for vinyl siding, this page is going to be appropriate for them. The problem is when I get there, it works. This actually ranked high in Google, but when I click to this page, I see a bunch of garbage on here that makes me not want to buy. Look at this over here. Cities near Southlake. Are you tracking with me on this? Cities near Southlake. The very first thing it says is Rio Vista, Texas. Now I'm going to tell you this. I've lived in Texas since the day I was born. I'm 44 years old. I've never even heard of Rio Vista, Texas. I don't know where it is. It's certainly not anywhere close to Southlake, Texas. This is bullcrap, and I know it, and my BS meter immediately goes off when I see this, and I go, what? Westover Hills, Texas? I don't even know where that is. Lakeside, Texas, never heard of it. Halton City? heard of it, but it's not near Southlake. Richland Hills, kind of close, a couple towns over. Forest Hill, never heard of it. This website is killing itself by having a bunch of information that's garbage. If I go to the next, this is scrolling down. Our vinyl siding in Southlake, Southlake, Southlake. It's talking to Google, but not to people. Look over here on the right. Coverage map. It shows a dot on something called winters. I don't even know what that is. We don't even have winter in Texas. Is this in Canada? I have no idea. Zip codes near Southlake, Texas. This is all for Google, and people look at it and they go, this is stupid, and they hit the back button. Let's look at some other pages. Here's their service page. Can you tell what's wrong with this service page? How many times does it say vinyl siding? Would you actually read this? Pro Vinyl Siding will sell you quality vinyl siding, a reputation. We offer vinyl siding. Vinyl siding. How many times in the first paragraph? 1. Vinyl siding. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times in one paragraph. You know what's going to happen? 2 things. Number 1, a human's going to read this and say, that's dumb. That doesn't even read normal. Nobody talks like this. This is annoying and frustrating. And number 2, I promise you this, Google will catch up with this. It'll find that this page is over what we call keyword stuffing, and it'll penalize this page over time. The About Us page, same thing. The word vinyl siding is in there 32,000 times. Look at this, the service area. Look at their service area. It's every state listed. This is a website that ranks well momentarily, does not speak to humans, does not do anything to get humans to buy. This doesn't work. Remember this site earlier? I showed it to you. It has too many engagement tools. By the way, these guys spent about $17,000 for this piece of garbage that you're looking at on your screen right now. Look what it says at the top in the headline. Home windows installed by experts in Bridgeport, New Haven, Hartford, Danbury, throughout Connecticut and Eastern New York. Instead of using headlines that talk about how they're different, why they're better, and why they should do business with this company, it stuffs these keywords so Google likes it, but humans read it and go, this is stupid, and they hit the back button. If you don't believe me, well, don't believe me. Whatever, man. It's happening, okay? We don't need to read this in detail. Let's go to the next marketing mistake. Response time letdown. Okay, here's what you think. If you get an internet lead, you're halfway to closing the deal, or you think internet leads suck, they're non-responsive. Maybe you bought them from Home Advisor or Main Street or Quinn Street or something like that. Here's the truth. If you wait more than 5 minutes to call internet leads, your chance of even getting them on the phone drops by 90%. Read that again. Holy crap. That's really all you need to know, but I'm going to give you some details. This is a survey conducted in 2007. These types of surveys have been conducted over and over since then. Contact rates drop significantly after 5 minutes. Look at this. 5 minutes, the contact rate from 5 to 30 minutes goes down 100 times. Are you with me? 100 times. And the qualification rate goes down 21 times in 5 to 30 minutes. You say, well, we'll call them back later this afternoon. You're freaking dead. You might as well have never generated that lead in the first place. It was a complete, total, utter waste of time, energy, money, emotion, and everything else that you're putting into it. This is a major mistake. Let's take a look at this, these various, on the left-hand side, Omniture, Dreamforce. These are all just different surveys and studies that were done on this subject. And they surveyed, as you can see here, 526 companies, 124, 2,800 companies, and so forth. Here's what they found. The average response time, 54 minutes, 44 minutes, 41 minutes, 49 minutes. The average response time across all 6 of these studies and several thousand companies was 44 minutes. Compare that to the chart that we just saw, and guess what? They're dead meat. There was no response from 35 to 63% of the companies, depending on the survey. 43% on average did not respond at all. And if you think that, oh, well, that's not us, we respond to all of our leads. Okay, great. You're in the minority 3%. There are huge quantities of remodeling companies that are not responding to their leads. They just don't ever get around to it, let alone get around to it fast. Now, when you talk to Tim Mush here in a little bit, as one of our sponsors from MarketSharp, he's got a great solution using their software to help you eliminate this mistake, okay? First responders, for inquiries submitted on the web, 78% of sales go to the first company to respond. How fast should you respond? Answer, 3 seconds. You want people to be a little freaked out. You want them to hit submit, and you want to call them within 3 seconds. They go, wow, that was fast. That's what you want. Now, let's look at persistence. This is the same chart I showed you before, but now on the right-hand side, I'm showing you the average number of attempts that companies made. 1.29 was the average number of attempts. In other words, people only tried to call one time, 1.3 times, and then they quit. Well, here's the reality. 38% of reps will call one time. 28% will call two times. This is from the same survey, okay? 11% stick it out for 3 calls. 8% try 4 times, 6, 5 times. 4% will try them 6 times. Well, guess what? If you call one time, you got a 38% chance of getting through, 61% chance of getting through, and so forth. You know, we call this buy or die. Just keep calling. You think, well, if they didn't respond. Now, there's a little bit of juxtaposition that has to happen with this information. You want to call first, but also you want to keep calling. Be persistent. You have a chance of getting through if you keep calling, okay? We're going to talk a little bit more about that when Tim talks to you here in just a second. We're going to do a quick break for our sponsors. First, though, I want to finish up this section on internet marketing mistakes by going to mistake number 5. So we've had 4 internet marketing mistakes so far. This is the 5th. And then we're going to move on to some other kinds of marketing mistakes in sales and sales processes and advertising. But here's the 5th one. It's an internet marketing mistake. It's called trusting nerds with marketing. Trusting nerds. Here's what you think. You need to hire SEO gurus, website building gurus to create your internet marketing program. Here's the truth. There are 10,000 people who can build a website. There are 10,000 people who can do SEO. None of that stuff is hard. There are thousands and thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people that can do that. But you know what? There's almost zero who understand remodeling and understand marketing. Let me ask you this question. Would you trust your website company to craft the message for your next advertising campaign? Would you trust them to write your mailers or your TV ads? Would you trust your SEO guy to write a newspaper ad for you? I wouldn't. They don't know how to do it. And if they don't know how to do that, what on earth makes you think that they're qualified to say something on your very absolutely number 1 most important marketing thing in your entire arsenal, which is your website? What would make you think that? I'm a little frustrated, and it makes me angry because there's all of these SEO and website guys masquerading around as marketing guys, and they're not. They freaking are not. They're nerds. That's fine. We hire nerds. We've got nerds that work. I have no idea how many nerds work for us. We say, look, we need you to program this stuff. We need you to code this stuff. You need the nerds, but here's what you really need. Somebody that understands marketing, and specifically remodeling marketing, that's writing and creating and crafting content with identity, with power, precision, with passion, that actually freaking works. Because if you don't, guess what? You get the same garbage that we looked at before, okay? Remember this garbage from earlier? This is done by these nerds. You can't have nerds writing this stuff. It's terrible. It's an absolute waste. Now, what we're doing is we're shifting into some sales and sales processes kinds of mistakes here. And this one is too much emphasis on sales. And this is one that I've gotten into not literal but figurative fistfights with people over before. Here's what you think. Oh, come on. Here's what you think. Your salesman is so good that he'll close the deal. Your best shot at increasing conversion ratios is to focus on sales hiring and sales training. Now, I'm not going to be the guy that comes in and says don't sales train and don't hire good salespeople. Obviously, that's extremely important. But here's what else I know. Since the recession, people are a lot more cautious with their money. They want to vet contractors before letting them into the house. Keyword in that sentence, before letting them into the house. We also live in an instant information society, okay? People can look stuff up on their phone. Go back 5 years ago. Didn't happen. It didn't exist. You didn't have an iPad or an iPhone or an Android or anything like that. Now, if you hold your best information for the sales meeting, it's going to kill more sales than it's going to help. Again, I'm not suggesting that you don't have good salespeople, that you don't work through that. I'm suggesting that you facilitate getting real information into people's hands before the sales meeting so that they're even willing to talk to you in the first place, okay? So what we want to do to accomplish that is what we call pre-positioning. These are things that you make available, proactively send to the prospect before the sales meeting. Things like your website. That shouldn't be any surprise. We've talked about that at length in the first part of this webinar. Emails that you can send out. I'll show you one example of many in just a minute. Again, we've got a fairly limited amount of time because of the nature of this webinar. Also some reports, and I'll show you those briefly here in just a minute, and phone scripting. Did you realize that what you say when somebody calls you has a tremendous impact on whether or not they actually convert through and become a customer? Huge impact. We've tracked this, but most people don't realize it. It's a major mistake. Here's a copy of an email. Subject line says, are you ready for your meeting with Portland's most persnickety remodeler? Most remodelers hate dealing with high-maintenance customers who complain about wanting every little thing a certain way. Those are the only kind I get along with. An appointment reminder for the date and time. If you're looking for whatever or just get it done, then you might want to cancel our appointment. Cookie-cutter quality is not why people hire me. And then it goes on to ingrain the identity of this company. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this company in a minute. But here's what we're trying to do. We're simply letting them know identity, who you're dealing with, what you can expect, what kind of experience you're going to have. Okay, does that make sense? Also, we can send out reports. We can send out reports via actual mail, which is preferred because there's something magical about people getting a report like this in the mail. Look what this one says, the permanent roofing solution, the last roof you'll ever buy. If they're in the market for a metal roof and you send them this report and you start to educate them about the various aspects of a metal roof before they ever show up, I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference. This is stuff that people want to know. You can also send it to them via email. With the advent of tablets, these actually can be viewed very nicely on a tablet computer. 5 years ago, that really wasn't an option. Design portfolio for remodelers. We've got reports we've put together on gutter protection, on sunrooms, and window siding. I mean, you name it. This is part of what we do for our customers. We put together pre-positioning materials for them, and we've got reports on every major remodeling project you can think of. Like I said, whether it's siding, windows, not just siding, fiber cement siding, seamless steel siding, vinyl siding, okay, just to name a few, sunrooms, decks, gutter protection, bathrooms, full service bathroom, quick bathroom, you know, all of those. These are things that we have already in our inventory that we can customize for you to help you convert higher. Then here's an important one. It's called a Contractor Standards Guide, the Code of Ethics and Competency. Learn how to choose the right contractor. This is one we put together for 1-800-Hansons. I think they're number 10 this year on the 500 list, something like $60 million last year. What this is, it's a guide that you send to your customers ahead of time that shows what people should look for when hiring a contractor. It breaks it down into 4 categories: financial stability, reputation, professionalism, and workmanship. It shows the standards. It shows how your company matches and meets those standards, and then allows the prospect to compare any other contractors they're looking at against those standards. It's really a neat tool. It's very, very powerful. Okay, I don't have time to go into that in detail. That's a 1-hour webinar that I've done before. You can look it up on our website, but for now, it's a big mistake, okay? Failure to price condition is mistake number 7. Man, this is huge. Here's what you think. Your salesman's going to show up and wow the prospect into buying on the spot, and letting people have any idea of how much stuff costs ahead of time will scare them away. This is what you think. I'm here to tell you that's not true. Here's the truth. The number one reason prospects don't buy is, does anybody know? What's the number one reason that people don't buy? What is it? I ask this question in seminars, and I get all kinds of answers, and nobody ever hits the right one. They always say things like they didn't like the salesman, didn't ask for the order, didn't overcome their objections, and stuff like that. The reality is the number one reason that people don't buy is that the price that you're asking for is a lot higher than the price that they were expecting, you would say. So in other words, you ask them for $10,000 for windows, and they thought it was going to be $4,000 or $5,000. It's not that they don't have $10,000. It's not that they don't believe that your windows are worth $10,000. It's that it's such a huge gap from what they expected to what you're asking for that it's hard for them to mentally overcome that hurdle in a 1 or 2 hour sales presentation. It's just too much. It's like going in to buy the $25,000 Honda Accord and finding out it's $50,000. It's tough. Sticker shock makes people stall, and then they drop out of the process. Home improvements. Do you realize this? They're one of the few things in life that people have no idea what price to expect. They have no idea. If you want to buy a house, you go online, look up the prices. They're right there. If you want to buy a TV, you go into Best Buy and look at the prices. For home improvement, you don't know until the guy comes and sits on your couch for an hour and a half. You've got to facilitate their understanding the pricing, okay? So let's take a look. This is Renewal by Andersen. If you're not familiar with Renewal by Andersen, their windows are going to average somewhere in the neighborhood of about $1,200. It varies, but let's just call it rounding. to $1,200. We've got to make sure that these people understand not just that we exist, not just that we have windows, but these windows are premium caliber. Look at this wording. I've showed you this earlier, but I want you to look at this wording. Most window companies claim they've got the best window. We unapologetically claim to offer the world's only perfect window. We've taken the best parts from all the top windows, eliminated everything that isn't 1,000% optimal, and engineered only window that promises and delivers perfection. Now, would you expect that the perfect window that has this kind of talk behind it is going to be cheap? Or would you expect, maybe it's going to be a little more expensive? And when you find out it's more expensive, would you figure that maybe it's probably worth it? Not just, hey, we have an expensive window and it's better because it's better. It's better because of freaking specific stuff that I'm going to tell you about right here, right now, and I'm going to facilitate that information. You see how this works? Here's another one. I showed you earlier a pre-positioning email from this guy. Here's his website, persnickety, demanding, hard to please, picky, that I'm the remodeler for you. I'm not the fastest. I'm not the cheapest. I am, however, according to my customers, the best. Wow, I just put it right out there. Now, this is not the right strategy for every single company. If you sell on the cheap end of the spectrum, you wouldn't want to say this. But this guy sells on the high end of the spectrum. Renewal by Anderson sells on the high end of the spectrum. Most of our customers sell at least on the medium high to high end of the spectrum. If you don't, that's okay. But if you do, you'd better start price conditioning so people don't freak out, get sticker shock, and then look at you with this sort of glassy smile while they're saying it to themselves inside their head, holy crap, this is a lot of money. Again, it's not about affordability, it's about expectation. And if you don't set expectations properly, it's going to hurt you, okay? We put this together for this company. We started pre-positioning. We started putting websites together. Some other things I'll show you in a minute for this particular company. Look what happens. This is the letter that they wrote to us. We just landed our biggest remodeling job ever, over $200,000. Not exactly common these days, with a couple who lives out of state and are moving here this summer. We got the job because of our website. The clients loved it. They read all of it. They called all of our references. They referred to all of our gallery pictures saying they wanted those features and materials on their project. Thank you, MYM, for putting such a powerful tool to help set us apart from the others. This is about price conditioning. This is about pre-positioning. This is about facilitating information before the prospect sits down in the sales meeting. Should your salesperson be good? Of course, obviously. I'm not even going to respond to that. I'm the one asking the question, so I guess I don't have to respond to myself. But I do want you to know this. There are sales trainers out there, and there are philosophies out there that say, don't give any information ahead of time. We want the magic to happen in the sales meeting. And I'm telling you, it's too late half the time. It's too late. You've got to facilitate ahead of time, okay? 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that wasn't true. Now, it's definitely true. Here's mistake number 8. It's what I call follow-up failure. Here's what you think. If people don't buy on the spot, it's because they're broke and stupid. Salesman comes back. He didn't close the deal. Why not? Prospect was broke and stupid. You think if you can't get them back on a rehash, then there's no point to even trying. Here's the truth. The number one reason people don't buy, remember I already covered it a minute ago, because it costs more than they thought. Now, the first way to overcome this is to make sure that you facilitate the price understanding before you ever go to the sales meeting like we just talked about. But even if you don't do that, or even if you do that, you also are going to want to follow up on the ones that don't buy. Sales-based follow-up programs rarely work. When I say sales-based, I'm talking about giving somebody a stack of phone numbers and saying, here, call these people and see if you can get them to buy. It almost never works. That's why almost nobody does them. You should be reaching out to these people to get them back, and you should be doing it via marketing, okay? You can spend a lot more money on this than you think. Let me run you through a quick scenario here. Let's say that you spend $200 each for leads. That's probably generous. You probably spend more than that. And let's say that you currently close 30%. Okay? You with me so far? So if you had 100 leads, you spend $20,000. That's $200 each. You spent $20,000 on lead generation. You'd close 30 deals. You with me so far? Here's the part that you probably don't pay as much attention to. You didn't close 70 deals. You paid $667 per new acquisition for those 30 deals. What I did is I took the total amount you spent and I divided it by the sales. If the average sale is $6,000, that means you did $180,000 in sales. It's about 11%, okay? Now, your numbers might be different. This is just an example. Would you be okay with that? Maybe your average sale is $10,000, so you did $300,000 in sales and your percentage was even lower. Are you okay with that? Most people look at that and say, yeah, I'm okay with that. Well, you've already allocated that entire $20,000 of budget towards those 30 sales. You still have 70 unclosed deals, right? Nobody ever pays attention to those 70. They just let them fly off into the night. Why? technically you have $0 invested in those 70 unclosed leads because you've already allocated them towards the closed sales, those dollars, okay? Let me ask you this. How much would you be willing to spend on those 70 leads to close them? And here's a better question. How many do you think you could close if you really tried? Do you think you could close 2 or 3 out of 70 over the next year or 2? Do you think you could close 10%? Let's assume that you could close 10% over the next 12 months, okay? That's 7 extra sales. I don't think that's crazy. I don't think anybody's listening to that going, wow, that's unbelievable and unrealistic. It's realistic, okay? Remember the reasons they didn't buy? Mostly, it's just more money than they expected. Most people at this juncture say, oh, well, they went and bought from somebody else, which is true sometimes. But you know what? A lot of times they were convinced to buy from you, but they didn't have the money in their budget. Their daughter's wedding was coming up. Whatever the case was, they stalled. They just kind of had sticker shock. They're still going to buy from you if you will follow up. If you allocate the same $667 you already gladly spent, remember where that number came from? It was the total number of marketing dollars divided by the number of sales. It was 667 in this example. That would give you a $4,669 budget to go after 70 prospects. That means you've got $66 per prospect. Each prospect, if you spent 70 cents each, you could send them 95 postcards follow-up. 90 freaking 5. That's 1 per week for 2 years. What if you only sent 50 postcards or 25 or 10? What if you sent 0? See, here's what happens. It's a huge marketing mistake. People assume that when their leads don't close, that's it, they're no good. I'm here to tell you there's money in those unclosed leads. Yes, some of them bought from somebody else. Yes, some of them are never going to buy from anybody. But we're not talking about selling all of them. We're talking about selling 10%, 7 out of 70. If we hit somebody with 95 postcards in 2 years, do you think we could get some of them to come back? What kind of postcards do we send? Well, ones that have identity baked into them. I shut down the job site in disgust, ripped out the entire floor, and started over again from scratch. Me and not done exactly right don't get along. I'm reaffirming the identity. I'm reaffirming the price positioning and the quality that this company has. Here's another postcard. Most remodelers hate dealing with high-maintenance customers who complain about wanting every little thing a certain way. Those are the only kind I get along with. The next week, another postcard. If you paid $43,000 for a kitchen and are not 1,000% thrilled, don't come crying to me because there's a 0% chance I did the job. Our thrilled customer rate is an even 100% because I insist every detail is 100% right 100% of the time. This is what is called powerful communication. It's called identity. So we're taking multiple concepts and we're putting them together. Identity, professionalism. We're talking about sending these things over and over again, okay? It makes sense. Now, I'm going to give you a bonus mistake here. This is one that I didn't have. I had 10 mistakes, but I had actually 11. So here's a bonus mistake. Here's what you think. You think that your repeat and referral business is awesome, and it is. I don't want to take your repeat and referral business away from you, but here's the truth. It can be stunting your growth if you're not careful. Let me tell you what I mean by this. I see this a lot. You know who you are. You're the companies out there that get over 50% of your business from repeat and referral. Some of you as much as 70 or 80%, and that's good. The problem is it's not scalable. Here's what that means. You can't grow your business from $2 million a year to $4 million a year by repeat and referral. So to make it grow, you have to spend money on marketing. But here's what happens with a lot of these companies that are repeat and referral based. They've got a marketing budget that they spend, and because they've got so many deals coming in from repeat and referral that essentially cost them nothing or close to nothing to get, their overall marketing costs are maybe 2 or 3%, unrealistically low for marketing program. So when they go out there and find out that they've got to spend 15 or 20% sometimes to recruit a deal, they say, no way, I'm not going to do it, and they refuse to advertise, they refuse to market, they refuse to put the things in place that they need to do, and their business stays perpetually the same as it grows slowly and slowly with only repeat and referral business. I've seen this happen 1,000 times. These companies that spend 2 or 3%, they cannot fathom spending more. They build their entire business around a model that says we only spend 2 to 3%. They don't even have the money to spend 8 or 10 or 12 or 15%. And I'm telling you, if you're a repeat and referral only business, the first thing you need to do is immediately raise your prices. They're going to buy from you anyway, trust me. and take that money and start spending it on marketing. Otherwise, your growth is going to be stunted, okay? Okay, it'll cause you to spend too little on marketing. Okay, now back to the mistakes. Mistake number 9 and mistake number 10 are related. So I'm going to go through them both together, and then I'm going to show you some supporting elements, okay? Over-tracking your leads. This is a hard one for people to swallow. Here's what you think. If you track your calls from each marketing activity, you can allocate your dollars accordingly. You should put tracking numbers on all your ads. This is what people think. And there's some wisdom to this, but if you take it to the extreme, which a lot of companies do, this is going to kill your chances at growing your business. Because here's why. The truth is, some of your most effective advertising won't track well at all. Direct response advertising is dead, or at least it's dying. So the way you used to do business, where you put your ad in the paper and you would get a certain number of calls and you could track it and it was reliable, isn't really true anymore. Now you might put that ad in the paper and it's going to drive traffic to your website, and you're going to get a web lead if you've got a good website, like we've already talked about in like 4 of the mistakes earlier: conversionability, professionalism, all that stuff. But people are going to be driven to your website, and you're going to lose the ability to track. Now, some people get all bogged down and bent out of shape and jammed up over that. Hey, I can't track it, so it freaks them out. But I'm telling you, don't worry about it. What you want to really look at is how much are you spending and how much are you getting back in sales. And here's what you need to track first and foremost. You need to really start tracking your internet traffic and conversions, okay? You need to start shifting dollars from what I call hunting advertising activities into what I call farming activities. Hunting activities are one that you place the ad and you expect the response immediately. Like the word hunting would suggest, if you don't immediately get something, you starve, right? If you go out and hunt and you need the food that night to eat, if you don't catch something, you starve. What I'm suggesting is farming, where you plant seeds, you take some capital, you have to have some ability, you can't do it on no budget, right? Time and money budget. If you invest, then it grows, okay? You should be working on your 2014, 2015, and 2016 sales right now by farming and nurturing these people over time. Now, that's mistake number 9, over-tracking. I've seen it. I keep saying I've seen it 1,000 times. I've seen all these things 1,000 times. That's why I finally say, to heck with it, I'm going to pull together a webinar and just address all these things at once. I've seen guys that own companies that say, if it can't be tracked, I won't do it. And in addition to that, they will run TV, especially, and radio, especially, and they'll say, it doesn't work. I'm not getting calls off of it. But I'm telling you, radio and TV particularly are fabulous at raising the overall effectiveness of all the marketing you're doing. They're notoriously awesome for, can something be notoriously awesome? For driving web traffic and driving eyeballs to your website that you don't necessarily track back to TV and radio, so your overall marketing effectiveness goes up. Yet, if you track those things specifically, you'll draw a conclusion that say they're not working, and you'll quit, and you'll cut out the very things that are going to drive your business in the future. That's a major marketing mistake. It should be number 1, probably not number 9. Okay, and the number 10 goes right along with it. It's called stopping short. What you think is that if the ad doesn't pull a sufficient number of leads, then it's a failure. All of your advertising dollars should be strictly accountable. This is very similar, but there are some differences here. Here's the truth. It takes time to build relationship with people. Most people do not need what you're selling right now. If you run an ad in the newspaper, 99% of the people that even possibly might see it don't need siding right this minute. They just don't. Go in any given neighborhood and count out 100 houses. How many of them need siding right now? Not all of them. If you start to nurture prospects now, read this on your screen. This is critical stuff. They won't have to rely on Google later to find you. They'll automatically know who to go to. So you can shortcut that entire thing that we talked about earlier, where you have to rank well in search engine and your pay-per-click, because people won't be, they'll go to your website simply to find your phone number or to contact you through a form. That's what you want. People that already know that they want to do business with you, that's advertising's major job. Here's what you should be doing from a marketing standpoint: focusing a ton of time and attention and effort and money into fixing your internet problem. And trust me, you have an internet problem right now. You might have a website that looks nice, but you don't have an identity, you don't have the conversion tools, you don't have the things on there that are evidence, case building, power, precision, passion. It's not happening. Fix it immediately. Number 2, fix your SEO immediately. I'm telling you, even if your SEO is quote-unquote working, like some of the examples I showed you earlier, it's actually not working if they've keyword stuffed and put a bunch of garbage in your website that scares humans off. It's got to be fixed. I'm telling you, 98.9% of all of the remodeling websites I look at suffer from these things. All of them, okay? Not some, not 5 or 10%, all of them. Get that stuff fixed. Then get your pre-positioning materials in place. Get that stuff fixed, your emails and all those things that I already talked about. Then focus in on this advertising and start shifting dollars away from hunting and towards farming. This is the formula for massive success in marketing. But it's counterintuitive. It's not what's worked in the past. It's what works now, though. And if you don't make the shift, you're dead meat. Let me show this to you. This is a person who's sitting there thinking about something in their life. In your case, windows or a new kitchen. And here's what happens. Over the course of time, the level of contentment with their kitchen fluctuates like shown on this black line, okay? Up here at the top where it's a red line and it says, I've had it, that's where they get so frustrated with their kitchen that they say, I've got to do something, I've got to remodel it. Or maybe it's their windows and they say, my windows stink, I need new windows. But look what happens over time. Their level of discontentment fluctuates. It goes up a little bit, sometimes it goes back down. And then it goes back up a little bit, it goes back down. And the reason that it fluctuates is that incidences occur in their life that are outside of your control that cause them to feel a certain way about their kitchen or their windows, okay? Now, just to keep it real here, this could be anything in life. It could be your computer or your kids or your spouse or your car or anything, but we're talking right now about your windows. How do you feel about your windows or your kitchen? Something happens here. You'll see that there's 4 incidences that occur over the course of, in this case, it's about a couple of years, 2.5 years maybe. Each one of these tick marks on the horizontal axis is a month. Maybe it's the mother-in-law coming over and making a snide comment about your kitchen being outdated. Maybe it's having a party at your house and you feel like self-conscious because your kitchen isn't very nice. Or maybe you went to a party at somebody else's house and they had a really super nice kitchen and it made you hypersensitive to the fact that yours wasn't that great. Maybe you brought a new toaster oven home and there was nowhere to put it and you got fed up and frustrated because you didn't have any counter space. You know, who knows what these incidences are, but something finally happens over here that makes people say, you know what, I've had it. Now, these pink triangles on the screen, this is important stuff. Don't bail out on me now. First of all, we're almost to the end, and if you stick with me to the end, I'm going to give you that CD program. Number 2, this is critical stuff for you to understand. The pink triangles represent a marketing effort by you. It could be an advertisement, it could be a mailer, whatever the case is. And here's what happens, is over the course of time, you accelerate their discontentment. You make them feel more dissatisfied with their situation if you hit them with a marketing message consistently over time. But you'll notice that on the left side, the level of disconnect, the pink line is very close to the black line because your marketing messages are infrequent enough and they've seen few enough of them that it hasn't really influenced them that much. As you get over here towards the 3rd incident, then they start being a little more influenced because they've had more time to see your message repeatedly and consistently, and it's made them more dissatisfied. Now, when they go to that person's house for that party and they see their kitchen and it's so beautiful and lovely and they start to feel jealous and they start to feel like they hate their kitchen, it's even heightened more because you've been talking to them about it for the last 1.5 years, okay? But now here's something even more interesting. The green triangles at the bottom, here's what they represent. They represent not just a consistent marketing effort, but a massive frequency of marketing. Remember earlier we talked about follow-up with postcards, 95 postcards? Well, this also could be a TV campaign where they're seeing your ad during the news over and over, a radio campaign when they're driving home from work, they hear you over and over. And here's what happens, is it pushes that line up significantly. A couple of things. Number 1, it goes up much more quickly because after 3 or 4 months, they've heard from you 15 or 20 times, not just 2 or 3. So your message is having more of an impact. Number 2, look what happens. Over here now in the 3rd incident, which used to rank at about a 5 level of discontentment, the green line now hits I've had it much sooner than it otherwise would because you've hit them with this message so many times, so frequently, and hopefully with so much power that you make them super hypersensitive to the problem to the point where they can't stand their problem much sooner than they otherwise would. And people come and do business with you. If you advertise consistently like in the pink example, at least when people need you they will know to buy from you because you've consistently marketed to them. In the green example, not only will they know to come to you, but they will come to you much sooner because you will heighten their sensitivity to the problem that you solve. This is how you win in marketing long term. But you can't measure this. You can't say, well, I ran the radio ads for 3 months and nobody called. You've got to run the radio ads, in this case, for a year and a half in this example before that green line hits I've had it and it triggers the call. You don't know when these incidences are going to occur. You can't control them. You've got to be patient. You've got to invest your profits into advertising that is farming related, nurturing related, so that over time you grow and you grow and you grow. This is how Hanson's Windows gets to be $65 million last year, because they've been on TV and radio, especially TV, for 25 years now. And now when people need windows, they just freaking know. Call Brian Elias at Hanson's, okay? So let's wrap this up. Goals for advertising: you want to hit your target market, minimize waste. Consistency of contacts to an individual is the key. You want to develop a conversation with people. Communicate with power, passion, emotion. Put identity into your ads. Okay, remember, think 2014, 2015 sales, okay? Let me just show you this real quick. This is the last thing, and then we're going to wrap it on up here. This is a client that engaged starting in 2012 in heavy advertising on radio and then later on television. Look what happened. This is their web visitors. In January of 2011, they went from 2,100 web visitors to 4,200. They doubled it, a 95% increase. Their phone calls went from 249 to 433, 74%. The overall business is up about 70 to 80%, okay? The advertising spend is only up about 20%. They went from, and here's why. They reallocated dollars from hunting into farming. Let's take a look down here at the bottom. June was the last month that I tracked this. I don't have the more updated numbers. I apologize for that. They went from 2,400 to 6,700, 174% increase. Their phone calls went up 88%. Now, that doesn't even include how many people contacted them through their website, just some very basic metrics. This is real, people. This works. If you don't think so, you're fooling yourself. This is how you make marketing work, is all of these things working in tandem. See, these seem to be unrelated marketing mistakes that are kind of fun to talk about on a webinar. The reality is everything that we've just talked about, absolutely interconnected. You've got to fix your web. You've got to fix your sales process. You've got to fix your advertising. If you do these things, it makes a huge difference, okay? So I'm going to go into a quick wrap-up here. If you'll stay with me just another 5 or 10 minutes at the most, then we'll give you an opportunity to get the free CD program. Let me tell you about how you can do business with Monopolize Your Marketplace. In order to we offer foundational marketing that you have to have in order to operate your business. Again, it starts with your identity. I talked about that earlier, creating a professional, identity-based website that converts customers into prospects. You might say, hey, I just spent a bunch of money to get a new website. It doesn't really matter. You know what? If you just spent a bunch of money to get a website and it doesn't work and it doesn't convert and the SEO isn't bringing actual customers, then it doesn't matter how much money you just spent. Driving traffic to that site via organic and paid search, using mailing and advertising to grow, okay? We do all of this for our customers. We do all of it for our customers for a low monthly payment, okay? We have what's called a monopolized bundle. We create your identity, write your website content, we'll professionally build your website to look like the ones that I showed you earlier. We'll do your SEO setup and monthly maintenance for 2 years. We'll build you a mobile website. We'll unlimited update your website for those same 2 years. We'll manage your pay-per-click for 2 years. We'll create all your pre-positioning materials, and it'll allow you to replace your under-leveraged marketing materials. We charge $19.99 plus $4.99 a month, okay? How clear is your identity and your marketing materials? How many web-based leads are you generating a month? How are you spending on stuff that doesn't work? How many deals per month would you need for this to be a good investment, okay? We also have a kitchen sink bundle. That was the monopolized bundle. That was the essential stuff you need. We have a kitchen sink bundle, which is all the monopolized stuff, the websites, the search engine optimization, the pre-positioning, plus we'll build your site even bigger, 25 more pages. We'll give you an online review package where you'll integrate online reviews into your business, a home show package where you can maximize your home show leads, what we call a proximity marketing package, help you maximize your job site marketing, past prospect hopper package. We talked about that on this call today, maximizing your past prospects, creating emails and postcards that you can reach out to the people that didn't convert. Same thing with your past customers to get more business and referrals from them. New movers, reaching out to new movers. Help you with radio advertising, ad writing, create a logo for you if you need it. We'll do all of this for you. This is $29.99 down and $10.99 a month for this package, okay? That might be a little bit more than some of you need. The monopolized package may be enough for a good portion of you. In these other packages, for example, this is our proximity package, just to very briefly show you all the components. It's all branded. It all looks very nice. It's professionally designed. It all has identity in it. Same thing with the new mover packages, postcards that are branded, have identity built into them. This stuff looks good and it works. The pre-positioning materials, contractor standards guide, replacement window guide, I talked about those earlier as well, okay? If you want information on this, here's what you need to do. Go to our website at mymonline.com and click on Remodelers, and then go to the bonus package page, okay? And what you'll see is something called bonus bundles. You see an essentials bundle, a monopolized bundle, and a kitchen sink bundle. When you look on there, there'll be information that you can mouse over and click on to see exactly what all of these things are. Here's what you need to know, though. Each of these packages includes the website with identity and the search engine optimization so that you can maximize your internet presence, pay-per-click management, pre-positioning materials like we've talked about on the webinar today. As you get into the kitchen sink bundle, it starts to have more of the advertising and mailing programs included in it. Okay? If you'd like to talk to us about it, ask questions about it, I'll show you how to do that here in just a minute. But you can go to online to mymonline.com/bonus package, and you can see those packages for yourself. Okay? Now I'm going to give you a special offer today. The first, there's going to be two special offers. The first one is a $1,000 cash discount on either bundle. We require normally $2,999 down. We're going to discount that to $1,999 down. It's a $1,000 cash discount. It's just straight up $1,000 off. If you buy the monopolized bundle, we'll give you $4,000 bonus cash. You can use that to buy the home show package, proximity package, hopper systems, ad writing, radio package, whatever you want. You can choose a la carte off the list of other packages that we have, and you can use that $4,000 cash towards that. So that's a $5,000 offer. If you go with our kitchen sink bundle, then we'll give you $100 off the monthly payment. So the payment would be reduced from $1,099 to $999. That's a cash savings of $2,900. In addition to that, $1,000 off the down payment of that, okay? If you're interested in that, what you need to do, maybe you've been looking at MYM for a long time, you're thinking, hey, this looks like something I might be interested in, email me in the next 10 minutes. My personal email address is richharshaw@gmail.com. Include your name, your website, and your cell number. We'll call you back today and walk you through that, help you understand it if you need more information. And then to get that special offer, you need to buy one of the bonus bundles by Friday.